welcome in everybody. Very glad to have you here with us today. Let me go ahead and open up my intro slides here. So our presentation today, and I know this is a popular topic. I know we get a lot of requests for information about virtual assistants, and I myself come from that background and I coach other virtual assistants. So today's topic is 7 things you really need to understand before hiring a virtual assistant. So here's what we're going to cover today. How to take the first step and turn your overwhelm back into the fun of owning a business, restructuring the way you think about outsourcing help, how to get back to the time where you are enjoying your life, both business and personal, and how to hire the right virtual assistant for your business. There's lots of VAs out there, and I know I've done a lot of hiring as well, so I know right from not so right. So a little intro about me. Anybody who is on the call today and has not met me, I am Jamie Skoltetti, and my company is upscaleyourbusiness.com. I'm a social media marketing strategist, and I specialize in helping professional coaches and consultants systematize their business, maximize visibility, and attract ideal clients. And my partner, Mark Canty, is also here. If you're looking at your screen, you probably see him right in the middle. And Mark's company is Release Dynamics. So Mark is a coach for coaches, and his company is dedicated to helping coaches and consultants release their full potential by applying practical business and marketing strategies. So his question is, how would your business and life, and something to ponder while you're here with us, how would your business and life be different if in the next 90 days you could attract the kind of client you want at the rate that you need? So ponder on that while you're listening to this presentation and watching us. And Jamie J is our guest expert today, and his company is Bottleneck Virtual Assistants. I love that company name. It says it all. How many of us are the bottlenecks in our own business, right? So Jamie J is the founding and managing director of Bottleneck Virtual Assistants. Together with an amazing team, they offer professional growth opportunities for ambitious leaders by creating an efficient and systematic approach to identify, hire, and cultivate team members who focus on specific roles and responsibilities. At the core, Jamie is a connector of personalities and brands. He constantly challenges himself to be a better human being. He is also an amateur hockey player and starter geek who truly enjoys helping his clients rediscover themselves, their companies, and their why to provide an organized, systematic approach to business growth. And one final note, and I'll be very brief on this, do stay till the end. Those of you who are not yet a member of our Upscale Success Strategies, you can find out at the end how you'll be able to join us and gain access to all of our past and all of our future webinars. We do a monthly live implementation call. We have lots of bonuses like worksheets, guidebooks, and also some really great valuable services. So do stay till the end. We will make you a special offer that you will not be able to refuse, and it doesn't cost you anything. So stick around for that. I'm going to stop my share, and I will turn this over to Jamie, and we'll have an open conversation here, an open dialogue. One other thing before you start, sorry. Please go ahead and put your questions, comments in the chat. I will be monitoring that, and I will feed questions and comments to Jamie and to Mark, and also I'll answer some too. Having said that, welcome in everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. So tell us a bit about what are this, where do you want to start? We've got, 7 things that everybody should understand before they hire a virtual assistant.
Yeah, perfect. Again, thanks for having me. Super stoked always to talk about virtual assistants and support for business leaders, business executives, team leaders, anybody that gets overwhelmed with the details. A lot of things in business are really important to do, but not necessarily always that fun. But they have to get done. And the busier you get, the harder it is to manage your day-to-day calendars and schedules. And one of the quickest ways and most affordable ways to scale your business is looking for a virtual assistant, because you don't have all the overhead. You don't have the internet. You don't have the desk space. You don't have the extra computers. You don't have, all of the FICA. A lot of times when you hire somebody, at least in the US, according to Glassdoor, the average cost to hire somebody is $4,129.
Wow.
What's even more scary is the average cost to fire somebody could be up to, according to Glassdoor, 9 months of salary. This is expensive.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that I've got into virtual assistants is because 13 years ago, we started an ad agency, and we had a magazine that we were publishing, website, we had all the marketing materials and all that stuff. And so we hired a team of 13 people, 9 of which were out of the Philippines. And so it was a really good, inexpensive way, or affordable way, I should say, to scale our business. And so there are 7 things that I put together that I think are really important to know before you hire a VA, because a lot of people here, they really don't have an idea necessarily of maybe when to hire, or are you ready to hire, or maybe can you afford to hire a VA? So as I pick up the 7 things you must do, I'll kind of go over them really fast. And again, if you have any questions at any time, Jamie or Mark, by all means, let me know.
Sure will.
Or anyone else. So 7 things you must know. Number 1 is make sure you have a clearly identified what you do on a daily basis. Creating what we call as a delegation roadmap. I'll go into that. Number 2 is start doing everything you do during the day as it was the last time you were going to do it. Then I'll break that down. Number 3 is, do you have a job, roles, and responsibilities created? What do you need help with? Number 4 is take stock of your current workload and establish timelines to the responsibilities that may be outsourced in the future. And number 5 is understand that you'll never find anyone that can 100% replace you, but you can position your staff to maintain your voice, tone, and your brand integrity by delivering detailed processes. Number 6 is, do you have the time to train a virtual assistant and help set expectations? This is important. This is often overlooked. Everybody's looking for that rock star, right? But you can go out and find the best VA in the world, virtual assistant in the world. But if you don't let them know exactly what it is that you're expecting them to do, it could be chaos. And then number 7 is meet with your virtual assistant every day, especially in the beginning, for the first couple of weeks, maybe up to a month. Maybe have daily huddles. This always ensures that communication stays open. And I'll go into this a little bit more. So far, do you have any questions on what these 7 steps are?
Any questions, anyone? Mark and I are still here. We just wanted to take the focus off of having 3 people to look at. But feel free to put your questions in. Jamie, I'm looking forward to you going a little deeper into each one of those points, because I think each one on its own is so important. And I know, like I said, I've been a VA and I've hired lots of VAs, and I have hired VAs, and not too many. I've been very fortunate in my hiring process. I think my procedures have been and my standards have been kept pretty much so. But yeah, go ahead and go on into them, and we'll catch questions and comments as we go.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go ahead and jump into this. So number 1 is make sure you have clearly identified what you do on a daily basis by creating what we call as a delegation roadmap. This is key. This is paramount, because this is the beginning of really finding out what it is that you're going to do. If you do something 3 times, that's usually our rule of thumb, then you need to create a process for it. And I'll go into that here in just a little bit. But what is a delegation roadmap? To keep it simple, it's basically a roadmap that you create for yourself and for your VA that lets them know exactly what their responsibilities are. And how do you begin? Well, grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, if it's on the weekend or in the evening, a glass of wine, whatever floats your boat there, and put an egg timer or something with no distractions. Open up a Google Sheets on your computer, or you can do it in an Excel spreadsheet if you'd like. I like Google Sheets because I can make changes on the fly and I can give access to other people very easily. But I write 3 columns, and I title the top of them. The first one is task. The second one is delegate. And the third one is energy. So for every task that you do on a given day, I don't care what it is, write it down. Emptying the trash, checking your email, whatever that may be. It's really important to write all of them down. And then what's more powerful is assigning 2 values to each one of those tasks. Number 1 is delegate. So when you're going underneath delegate, you'll put a Y or an N for yes or no. So for delegate, you ask yourself, is this something you must do? Or is this something that you can delegate to somebody else who can do it? And here's the key, 80% as good as you or better. What's really important about this is that you're already establishing a mindset to where you're going to be delegating tasks, knowing that somebody coming into your organization is not as familiar with it as you are. And 80% is really good. So you want to find somebody with some experience in basically what it is that you're looking for. And then the second thing is energy. Again, yes or no. Does this give you energy, or does this completely drain you of energy? Then once you come up with this task list, you'll have 30, 40, 50, 100 things on there. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you sit down and focus on something, what comes to mind that you may have not even thought about before. And so what you can do is segment all of the tasks out in a separate list. I always create another sheet in Google Sheets. So you have the little tabs at the bottom. And at the bottom, I'll say, I'll name this one task list. And then the second sheet I create is segmented task list. And what this means is that you take everything on the task list that you can delegate to somebody 80% as good as you or better, who can do the job 80% as good as you or better. And that totally drains you of energy. Now, all of a sudden, you have a segmented list. And now you have the foundation for building out a job roles and responsibilities. This is what we'll go into in step number 3. But this is really, really important, and it gives you a good start. The other thing that you'll start seeing too is you may start seeing several different types of tasks, and you can even segment those into certain areas. So maybe you want to update your website. Maybe you want to build a website. Maybe you want to add landing pages. Maybe you need graphic design work. I don't know about you, but for me, I can barely draw a circle. So I'm not the greatest designer in the world, but I have a lot of good ideas that I would like to have designed out for me. A good example would be I went to an event a month ago in Morristown, New Jersey, ProfitCon with Mike Michalowicz, and we had a blast there. But I had to have some flyers designed. I had to have a bunch of different stuff designed. I had to have a landing page built, and I'm not good at doing this stuff. So what I did is I made sure that I had a graphic designer design all of the stuff according to our brand guidelines. Thankfully, that was all done. And then we also had to have a landing page built. So we had the web developer build out the landing page. Both of these took them very little time, wherein it would have taken me a lot of time, and I wouldn't have been able to plan for the actual event and do the high level things that I needed to be doing, reaching out, touching base with the event planners and all that kind of stuff. So that's number 1. Number 2 is start doing everything you do during the day as if it was the last time you're going to do it. These are those repetitive tasks that you consistently find yourself doing. I used to check my email every single morning. It would take me 45 minutes or so. And that's no exaggeration, probably even longer. And half of the emails that I checked were either spam, or I just deleted them, or whatever the case may be. And then some were very important. I needed to respond to them right away. Others were not. I could mark them and notate them, and maybe someone else in the organization could follow up with them. So what we did is I sat down with my personal assistant, and we came up with a plan for her to go through and check all of my emails in the morning. She comes on 2 hours before I come to work. So by the time I open up my computer and I get set for my day, one of the first things I do is I check the important emails now. So instead of it taking me 45 minutes, maybe an hour to check all my emails, it now takes me 5 to 10 minutes. And if you look at that spread out over the course of the year, I just found almost 40 minutes a day where I can take and be productive in some other way. This is a perfect example of high level versus mundane detail, low level tasks. So you want to make sure to write down everything that you're doing. Or in my case, I do a lot of video screen capture. So what I'll do is I'll take a video of whatever it is that I do. And this is a great way of getting what's in my head out of my head so that someone else can take over for me and do that job 80% as good as me or even better. And what I find is through these remote relationships, it almost forces me to process out my business, create workflows and tasks. And I take it one level further. What I do is I make sure that whenever I do a video screen capture and I assign that to a virtual assistant to review, I have them write out a step-by-step workflow. And our rule is every time you click the mouse button, that's a step. So if you click here to do this, that's step number one, and take a screenshot of it so that we're familiar with what that particular step looks like. And then the next time you click the mouse, that's another step. It's that detailed. Now, this takes a little bit more time up front, but it does two things for me. Number one, it lets me know that the VA completely understands everything associated with that particular task. And while they may be an expert in that field, they understand the way that I do the work and what I'm expecting to get done. Now, can they chime in and say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way and maybe improve the process? Of course. But it gives me a great idea that they totally understand that workflow. The second part of that is if there's an issue that they may have not understood or maybe don't quite get, or I don't agree with one of the steps that they misconstrued the instructions, or maybe I wasn't clear enough, I can identify that right away to avoid anything from going wrong down the road. Number three is, do you have your job roles created, the roles and responsibilities? This is really, really, really important. The reason why this is so important is how can somebody do something 80% as good as you or better without a clear understanding of what it is that they're supposed to be doing? And so we've created a task list that the VA is going to be responsible for completing. And how are you going to meet with your VAs? Are you going to be doing it video conferencing? Are you going to be doing it via phone, via email? What's that form of communication? And what is the best method to set expectations and to maintain accountability? I don't create the job roles and responsibilities for anyone on my staff. They all create their own, but it's based off of the task list that I've come up with. And so what this does is it empowers them to feel like they're actually creating the role within the company. And they really, I've seen this over and over and over again. They really enjoy the fact that they get to put in, their 2 cents. This is what they feel is the best opportunity for them. Now, of course, I have final say, and we can tweak that from time to time. But what's really, really cool and nice about this is that once they complete their job roles, again, I can go back and say, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And you understand exactly what your role is here within the company. Number two is if we need to tweak it, we can tweak it. This also prevents micromanaging. A great example of this is think about a basketball court. Now, the players are playing away on the basketball court, or in this case, the player, they're out there taking their free throws or their 3-pointers or whatever the case may be. That's fine. They wrote the job roles and responsibilities. I've agreed to them. I understand what they're doing. They understand what they need to do in order to maximize the opportunity within this job roles and responsibilities. But the second the ball goes out of play, we have to call timeout. And it's really important. We call timeout, not to yell, not to tell them what is wrong with you, but why did something like this happen, or how can we improve upon this process? And through a discussion, we can go ahead and find out where the issues or challenges came to be, address those, and then put the ball back in play and let them go at it. So do we have different job roles and responsibilities within the organization where there's some overlap? Of course. Of course, you're going to have that from time to time. And that's okay, because that promotes communication within the environment. Now, some people don't have a very large staff. Maybe it's just one or two people, but that's still okay, especially with one or two people, because there will be a lot more overflow. Number 4 is take stock of your current workload and establish timelines to the responsibilities that may be outsourced in the future. When you're taking stock of your workload, and keep in mind, we're constantly in a state of beta. So as soon as you create workflows, or some people call them processes, systems, just know going into it, do your best, but don't get paralysis by analysis. Get something out there, even if it's 70, 80% the way done, get it out there. What I mean is create those workflows and get it going. You can spend a lot of time on these, and rightfully so, because this is the way that your business operates. But what's really good is documenting every single step that you do in every single aspect of your business. Knowing that we review them quarterly, every 6 months. We're constantly reviewing these workflows and processes. And sometimes our clients point out a friction point that we need to address. And so by constantly checking into these workflows and making tweaks, the onboarding process of a client, this is something that needs to change as technology changes, or as needs change, or the more your business grows, the more opportunity you have to find different friction points. And when you start getting a lot of different friction points, it's time to update and adapt to the current situation. So that's why I say take stock of your current workload. Every time, anything you do where it's a minimum of 3 times that you're doing it, that means you need to have a workflow. And I touched on that a little bit earlier. But do the workflow, get it done, and just know that that's a living, breathing document. And I love Google Drive for this, for Google Docs or Google Sheets, because it's a great way to stay up on top of this. And it's a great way to share within your organization. Any questions so far? I'm talking pretty quick, so.
Yeah, you're flying. Jamie, one question popped. I don't know if it even showed up, but it was about just a quick technical one. And I know I could answer this, but I'd like to hear your opinion too. Is you were talking about making screen flow type of videos back in step 2, in terms of writing down, but also, creating, capturing step-by-step process. Do you have a favorite program that you use, or programs that you would recommend that people could look at?
Oh my gosh, great question. Yes. The first one is my favorite program is Zoom. I love Zoom. It's very easy for me to do. With the Zoom technology, you can see I have a green screen behind me, so I can put the branding behind me and things like that. But Zoom for me is very easy, and I just upload it to save it to our Dropbox, and then that way, instead of sending a big video file, I can upload that to our project management software, which we use Basecamp, with a link from my Dropbox link, so that it doesn't take up a lot of room.
Great.
Another popular one is Loom. I saw that you guys wrote that down there. And the nice thing about this, you can get Zoom for free. Loom is free. I think Jing is free. There's a lot of free pieces of software out there. Now, Zoom, if you want to go to the pro level, just a little insight on Zoom here. Zoom, you can do unlimited free for 2 people, right? When you start getting 3 or more, they cut it off. They did a lot of research. And so these, if it's the free version, it'll cut off at 40 minutes. Just keep that in mind, because they found that the average length of a meeting was 45 minutes. They're genius marketers there. So if you want to carry on meetings with multiple people, I encourage you to get the pro version, but you don't need it to get started.
Yeah, right on. And I find too, just to put 2 bits in here, is I pay for Zoom. I think it's like $9 a month. I mean, you can go up from there. There's enterprise levels where you can pay a lot of money for different rooms and everything, but $9 a month, and you've got basically unlimited time on Zoom. But I use it also concurrently with Loom. I do use both of them. And I find, particularly if I'm sharing a screen or something, Loom, you install the app on your screen. It's just so easy. Oh, I should capture this. You click on Loom, boom, you make a quick video. and it's free, and it's I find both those programs extremely stable. So Loom, and by the way, Loom is use Loom is the URL. So just in case, I know some people get caught on that. So it's useloom.com, and then that directs you. I think if you there's something funky there. If you Google loom.com, you end up on somebody else's site, and Zoom is the other one. So there we go. Thank you.
And if I can just jump in here too, because I do a lot of screen capturing. I've got an entire library of every kind of training video you can imagine, and things that I never thought I would actually delegate. I thought, well, that's just for me. I've been giving a lot off, and I'm giving more off my plate. One of the things I wanted to comment on is when you are recording these videos, I would suggest that it not just be about the how, but also include the why. I always think it's really great to share with your team your thinking process, like why you would do this step or what you're thinking about that. That way, when they go to do it on their own, after it becomes sort of second nature, they will always refer back to your thinking on it. So don't just do the why or the how. That's great. That's important. But a little bit of the why too, I think, is really helpful. My team appreciates that. That's it.
Yeah, Jamie, you bring up a really good point, and I will answer. I believe it's Annalise said, "Is Zoom good to do webinars?" It is, but it does cost a little bit more. So there is a different level that you can get to, like Mark was talking about before. So I do webinars with Zoom as well. I'm just a big fan of Zoom. I use it a lot. But with regards to what you were just talking about, Jamie, the why and stuff like that, when you're doing these videos, think of it like this too. The more processed or systemized you can make your business, the easier it is for you to scale, maintaining that tone, that voice, that brand integrity. Also, think of this down the road as well. If you're going to sell your company at some point, companies with good, solid systems and business practices have a much easier way of creating a higher valuation than those that don't. Think of someone coming in to take over your company. You're moving on to the next season of your life. Maybe you're retiring. Who knows what the reason is? But if someone can come in and look at exactly the way that you ran your business, and they have all the step-by-step processes to maintain and your current existing client base, but not only maintain it, but even grow it, it's so much easier for someone to come in and take over it. Now, can they improve upon the processes and all of that? Of course, but you have the basic fundamentals or the foundation of how your business works. And it's just, it's one of those things about being proactive instead of reactive, which is really important to us here. And we love sharing that with our VAs and our clients.
Yeah, okay. If I can just add one little thing too that came to my mind as well is I always ask my team, sometimes they know more than I do, like I think I know it all, but they come to me with some, hey, we did this for another one of my clients. So what do you think of this? And I say, great, go ahead and record a video, document all the steps. And I think it's really great if you have a video and you have it written out, and we're starting to process that more. But, empower your virtual assistant to go ahead and record their own ideas that could enhance your business. So I just want to throw that in.
That works great too, Jamie. We just had my assistant did a tutorial on Basecamp for our clients. And we found a couple of areas where we needed to make improvements. And thankfully, she took the initiative to do this because there was a couple things that we needed to make improvements on. And had she not recorded this tutorial herself, we wouldn't have been able to help her out. We, meaning my wife and I, wouldn't have been able to go in and help her out and make the adjustments necessary to make an even better product for our clients. So yeah, really important. And it's a good collaborative way to scale, to build, to ensure trust even is a big factor here. And if someone can feel compelled or energized, or they feel okay with offering something like this to do, they're going to feel more empowered about their roles and responsibilities. And oh my gosh, it's amazing to see that happen. So that was step number 4, taking stock of your current workload. Step number 5 is understanding that you're never going to really find anyone that can replace you. And I may get some pushback here, but this is important because you can position your staff to maintain the voice, tone, and brand integrity that I talked to a little bit earlier by delivering detailed processes. Ultimately, you want to build a business where you can be replaced. I know that sounds counterintuitive, or maybe it's not the best thing that you want to hear, but taking into consideration everybody on your staff, no matter where you're at, no matter what kind of degrees you have, how smart you are, or where your levels of expertise are, anybody you bring on your staff is going to be smarter or going to know more about or have more experience in certain areas than you do. And understand that by creating these systems and processes, you are in essence creating a role for someone else to come in and take over should that time happen. Time goes by. I want to make this super clear. And the more powerful, let me step back for a second. The more you can create these systems and processes with the mindset knowing that someone can come in and take over for me, the better you are going to be. It's going to really reduce the level of stress because you're organized. And for someone that comes in, if they can do a better job at it than I'm doing, I have to be prepared for that. But one of our problems is, and here comes the name, the bottleneck, we are often, as business leaders, our own bottleneck because it's our baby. We want to do things a certain way. And sometimes we get the blinders on there. And with these blinders on, it's really hard to learn, to grow. And we have to kind of embrace that and know that it's okay not to know everything. And it's a hard time sometimes. And it's hard. I wouldn't necessarily say you're confiding in your staff. I don't know if you actually want to do that, but you're opening it up for suggestions. And the power of suggestion is amazingly strong. You said, and I did send recordings of presentations like this one.
Yeah, this is just between Mark and I.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
For future, but yeah.
Okay. So that's number 5. So understanding that you will never find anyone that can replace you, take that with a grain of salt. But the reason I said that was so that it kind of opens up a thought process. We are human. We are selfish, which is okay, by the way. It is okay to be selfish because if we can't take care of ourselves, how in the world are we going to take care of anybody else? And I might throw this in. Everybody on our staff, they have the power to make a decision within the organization. And I always say, if you make a decision and it's a bad decision, it's not going to bankrupt the company. For the most part of it, I hope. but what's really nice about this is everybody knows and they make a decision according to these 3 things. Number 1, is it good for the company? Number 2, is it good for the staff? And number 3, is it good for our clients? Because if the company is not healthy and thriving, we can't afford to take care of the staff. And the staff will not be happy if the payroll's late or there's no payroll because if that happens and the staff's not happy, how in the world are they supposed to take care of our clients? So our clients, yes, although very important, more important is our staff, and more important than that is the company. So everybody on our team, whenever they get ready to do something or they present something in a weekly meeting, they've made a decision according to those 3 dynamics.
I know for my business, I've just gave off doing these webinars, to every webinar that we do, which is just a once a month event. It's a lot of work. It was taking me, I would spend a Saturday kind of getting it all done. And I finally decided to delegate that. I thought nobody could get into my head and understand what I'm thinking about, all the different steps, but I just spent the time as I was doing it the last time. I decided to record videos. And for the last 4 or 5 months now, my right arm VA, I call her, has really taken over the responsibility 100%. And of course, there was a little bit of, we had to go back and forth and questions and that, but now she's completely in my head. And I feel like I've cloned myself. And I have freed up so much of my time. I mean, I just moved into a new home. I've been able to take the time that I need to get settled in, and I don't feel like everything is weighing on me. So that feeling has, like, I wish I could just bottle that feeling. And I feel like moving forward, it's only just going to be, more of that for me. And so I encourage all of you who are hanging on to things like, oh, only I know how to do that. Only I could do that. Take your ego out of it. I think I had a bit of ego in that. And I think it's just really great when you can have somebody else step in, or other people. And my person has actually documented the steps in writing. So I gave her the video, and now it's all documented, just in case either one of us or both of us fall off the earth. There's somebody else who'd be able to step in, and that feels really great. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, Jamie, this is perfect segue into step number 6.
Awesome.
Do you have the time to train a virtual assistant and help set expectations? And you just nailed it. So many times people come to me and say, I don't have the time to train somebody. And that is a red flag for me. We have to do a little bit of a talking, and there's a discussion that needs to happen, because no matter what level of virtual assistant you get, it could be the best web developer in the world. It could be the best executive assistant in the world. It could be the best X blank, right, in the world. However, if you don't take the time and schedule the time out, because everybody's super busy, especially when it comes time to hiring a VA, it's usually already a little bit too late to start preparing all of this stuff, because a lot of us haven't thought this through yet, and at least in my experience. And we've hired thousands in the last 13 years. So we have a little bit of experience here. But do you have the time to train a virtual assistant and help set expectations? That's a really good question that you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself. And most of the people I talked to in the beginning are going to be, no, I want this person to already be trained. Well, this is fantastic. They're already trained with the basic fundamentals, or a basic foundation, to make sure that they can achieve the tasks that are assigned to them according to the roles and responsibilities. However, they have to do it in a way that that you expect it to be done. And how else can they understand what exactly it is that you expect if you don't have the time to sit down and train them? Meet with them daily. I meet with my personal assistant every single day. Now, on Wednesdays and Fridays, we have longer meetings with the team, and then Fridays is our marketing meetings. But actually sitting down and talking, just like, this is what's going on. This is a new thing that we're going to be doing. We're getting ready to shift over to a new time tracking software. And that's a monumental shift for us, because we have so many people using an old time tracking software. The reason we're shifting over to this new one is a little more flexible. The other one, we were having some challenges like that when we grew. But I have to take the time out of my crazy, hectic, busy schedule and really, really drill down on this. I have to learn it myself. And that's the other thing. I don't have to learn it 100%, but I have to be familiar with it enough to where I can talk intelligently and answer questions posed to me by the team, so that we can move in a good direction, or in the best direction I see fit as a leader at this time, because they're all looking to me to make decisions. And while I empower them to make their own decisions, ultimately the buck stops with me. So if we make a poor choice on software, or make a poor decision anywhere within the organization, I assume responsibility for that ultimately. So take the time to train your virtual assistant. And how do you do that? How do you know what to train them on? Well, you have to go back to step 1, to the delegation roadmap, and review those tasks. And as business changes, add to that delegation roadmap. And then when you're creating that job roles and responsibilities, because of all of the tasks that you can delegate to someone else who can do it 80% as good as you or better, and that totally drain you of energy, you now have that task list in those roles and responsibilities that you see you want to hand off to somebody. Now, in the beginning, don't hand them everything. give them a nice core set of tasks to do. And as they learn these tasks and they become really efficient with these tasks, start giving them a little bit more responsibility and a little bit more responsibility. And every time you give them more responsibility, be prepared to be there for them, to train them or to answer questions. And don't just drop something on their plate one day. Right? If you think about it, I don't know if you can see me, but if you think about it, there's a wall and they're in a car. If you hit that wall, you're going to damage the car. There's no way you're going to drive up that wall. And it's an accident, right? That's going to be an accident. However, if you kind of give them a little bit of a notice and let them know, hey, I'm thinking about looking into a different time tracking software. What do you guys feel about that? Now, all of a sudden, you've taken that wall and you've kind of turned it into more of an angle to where you can drive up it without crunching the front of your car. That's the same way when you're getting ready to prepare and let somebody know on your team they're going to be handling a new responsibility, because now they're starting to prepare for it. They're setting their mindset like, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I need to start preparing for this. And you can kind of drip that along. And of course, you want to give deadlines and things like that to work towards it. But the more communicative you can be, the more planning oriented you can be, the better it is for everybody on the team. And it's a lot less stressful. So continue to have the time to train your virtual assistants or anybody else on your team.
Yeah, and if I can just jump in, just to piggyback on what you're just saying there, it's basically everything that you're about to do. Stop and think, is this something I should be recording a video about? And start to train yourself to be in that mode all the time. Anything that you feel like, I'm just going to do this real quick. Well, I'll throw on, 1 minute of a Loom, and here we go. We've got something that I can send off to a team member. So be on thinking all the time. Turn on that screencasting video. Yeah,
I love that. Do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it.
right.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. I'd like to chip in here as well, and it reminds me, Jamie, of particularly in today's. I often think years ago I studied and even met him at different talks and stuff with Dr. Stephen Covey. And he talked about urgency addiction. And nowadays, more than ever, particularly when people have an online business or they're working a lot online, they seem to have this kind of ADHD behavior, and they're just addicted to, is it fast? Is it fun? Is it exciting? And instead of, even using the 80-20 rule, they're kind of 100% addicted to that kind of behavior. And therefore, the point, and I'll ask you this question too, is that how do I get started? Because a lot of people nod their heads and go, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. Yeah, I need to do that. And then they don't do it. So my suggestion, and I'd love to get your ideas on this too, is how do you get started? Just start to chip away at it. Like Jamie just said, hey, if you're already kind of in the habit of doing things yourself, take that moment to have something like Loom and just click the button and at least record it, so that you start to chip away and use the 80-20 rule. Even take 20% of your time and sort of think 20% of my time I'm going to think long term. I'm going to think planning. I'm going to think what's important to my business that's not necessarily urgent, and start to build that into your habits, and then build that as a habit and let it grow. Your thoughts on that?
You're speaking my language right here. This is probably one of the hardest things to do, is to get started. That whole paralysis by analysis, that whole thing. Michael Gerber's book. What was his book?
E-Myth.
Yeah.
The E-Myth. Okay. Perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
When we start a business, we typically start a business in the book. It was about, I think it was a lady that was, she loved baking cupcakes.
Pies.
Thank you. Pies. Yeah. And so, and she absolutely loved baking pies, but she couldn't stand doing the accounting. And oh my gosh, now she had to worry about payroll, and now she had to worry about all the aspects that go along with having a business. And in essence, it hurt her enjoyment for baking. She lost that along the way. Yeah. And if you look at it, every single business owner, it's 80-20. It might even be 70-30, meaning 70% of the business is what you love and thrive on. 30% of it is just stuff that it just needs to get done. But I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, but you just like, okay, I got to do this. Like, let's just get this done so I can go have fun with the good part of my business.
Yeah.
Right. That's a feeling that many of us struggle with and we have all the time. So that 30% of the things that just drive us flipping batty, that's where you start.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little bit longer. Set your expectations, set your mindset, knowing that, I don't have a lot of time to do this, but just today, for right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to record this process and what I do. I'm going to still do my work here, but instead of just doing my work, I'm going to record it and I'm going to talk myself through the work.
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And it does take a little bit longer because you set up the recorder, which is not hard. You record it, you save it to somewhere, and then you send it to whomever you're going to have help you out with that, personal VA or whoever does that. And it does take a little bit longer, but oh my gosh, if you go back and look at our workflow library right now, it's amazing. Yeah. All of the things that we've done that I've taken off of my plate to where even 6 months, a year, 2 years ago, my business looked completely different.
Yeah.
So I get to do more things that are fun, like talking with you right here, right now. I absolutely love this stuff. This is a blast for me. I love sharing what I've been able to learn with others to help them in their business. That to me is, gives me tons of energy. It definitely doesn't drain me of energy. Now, after we were done this, if I had to take what we recorded and download it and upload it and share it and do all this other, that's not really something that I thrive on, right? But the actual act of being able to have the time to afford to be able to do something like this, I love this stuff. And so that's what I talk about. When you say, where do I get started? Start on something that when you get that feeling that you're just like, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm closing the blinds. Here we go. I'm locking in. Okay, let's do this. That's when you do it and try to do one thing a day.
Yeah, that's great. And also, some of you out there might want to just write it all down as an outline, type it into in an outline format, just a very quick down and dirty, like, what are the steps I do for my marketing? What are the steps I need to do for my consulting or my prep for consulting or whatever that is? What do I need to do when a new client starts with me? Document all of those things, write it all down. And I don't mean step by steps. I just mean a general, here's step one, create excerpts out of my blog posts. Step 2, put them on social media. Step 3, get them into a rotation. All of those general things. And then you'll start to break that down. And maybe you go into a more detailed outline, if you will. And then from there, create your videos, and keep all that. And actually, you could what I've been doing lately is creating those outlines, recording the videos, and making the lines within the outline. I make those hyperlinks so that my team click on those and they know what the step is and they know what the process is.
Yeah, that's great. So when we have our meetings, my assistant keeps the minutes for those meetings, which is really good because now we have a written down record of what it was that we covered. And I didn't write that stuff down. I'm good at just shooting from the hip and talking and coming up with ideas and having great conversations within the meeting. And we have really powerful meetings most of the time. And we have a lot of fun with them. But if we can take those and now we have actual action items that we can work against or work on to continue moving forward and improving upon whatever it is that we're doing. And now we have a roadmap for that next week or whatever it needs to happen. And for that next meeting, we'll kind of review the minutes and make sure that, hey, did we do everything we said we were going to be doing? Were we able to get started on this? And this is a good way of being able to delegate those tasks, because a lot of us have challenges just in the simple fact that delegation does not come easy to us. A lot of times we send something out and then we actually do the work because it wasn't done correctly. And I know this is a bit of a sidebar, but this is really important. Don't do that. If you delegate something to somebody and they don't do it correctly and you end up doing it the way it's supposed to be done, That right there is a learning opportunity missed.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to that person and say, okay, I see that maybe I didn't explain myself fully, or we missed something in the communication, but this is kind of what I was looking for. And so instead of doing this and this here, this is what I found to work really well. If we do this and this, you can see it has a better result here. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. So can you redo that and make sure that those two steps are incorporated? And when you do something like that, again, you're looking to empower this person and keep them motivated and keep them working and keep them learning. And I just figure, I thought I wanted to throw that in as a sidebar because that's really important before I go on to step number 7. Meet with your virtual assistant every day for the first 2 weeks to make sure they are on track. Then always meet with your VA at least once per week. I say that because a lot of people, when you tell them to meet with them every single day right in the beginning, they're going to say, oh, that's not possible. And they're already overwhelmed with the details. And they're like, oh, not another meeting every single day. Are you kidding me? That's not what I'm hiring a VA for. I'm hiring them to, have less meetings and do less of this work. I meet with my VA every single day. I think it's really important that you do that because communication is king in this world. And I think what you'll find and I said this earlier, by hiring a remote virtual assistant, it forces you to workflow out your processes, to systemize your business and in order to do that, you need to be able to communicate with your VAs. You need to find out what's going on. Where are they having challenges in the business? What can you do to support them? Better yet, if I don't always have the answer, I said that earlier too. We don't always have the answers. Through conversation, through communication with your VA, something they say may trigger something that breaks through a barrier that you were wrestling with. These daily, and in the medical world, they call them daily huddles, but they meet with the entire staff every single day for 15 minutes. That's all it needs to be, 10 or 15 minutes. Now, we can have longer meetings, which we do Wednesdays and Fridays, but these daily meetings, they don't have to last forever. It could be a barrier that we're working through, a problem that we had, and together talking about this, not only do they know where your challenges lie, but they also know, okay, this is what's most important. This is a priority maybe, and together working on these meetings, in my case, every single day. I don't want to overwhelm people, but it's a great way to keep that ball moving forward and just checking in to get a pulse on the business, on that, the operations for that day's work. So that's step number 7. So number 1, that for the 7 things you must know before hiring your VAs, make sure you have a clearly identified what you do on a daily basis by creating a delegation roadmap. Number 2 is start doing everything you do during the day as if it's the last time you're going to do it. Number 3 is create a job roles and responsibilities. And number 4 is take stock of your current workload and establish timelines and responsibilities that may be outsourced in the future. Number 5 is understand that you'll never find anyone that can replace you, but you can position your staff to maintain your voice, tone, and brand integrity. Number 6 is, do you have the time to train a virtual assistant to help set those expectations? And number 7, meet with your new virtual assistant every day for a minimum of the first 2 weeks. And then, once a week thereafter. I'd encourage you to meet on a daily basis ongoing. Do you have any questions?
Okay. I have a comment, and while anybody is, feel free to post your questions in there. I'm going to go ahead and put my camera back on. It's loading up. I just wanted to say something that Mark always says, and Mark, I'm just going to be you for a minute here. Those of you who are on the call, I know many of you consider yourselves coaches or identify as coaches. So the question is, do you want to be a coach or do you want to be a virtual assistant? If you want to be doing all of your own, tasks, your to-dos, all of that, then by all means, step in and be a VA. It's,
Yeah. I think that, we're waiting to see if there's any further questions here, and I'll chip in too. And Jay, thank you so much.
Yes.
I took some great notes, and thanks, Jamie, for putting the notes on the screen there. Your notes on the screen. I grabbed some ideas from there too, but just obviously everything you said, really resonates and is so bang on. And just to piggyback on what Jamie was saying there too, it's this idea of not only being a VA, but your own VA. but also the concept of ask yourself, is DIY killing my business? Because I don't know of any successful business person that is doing 100% of everything in their business themselves. In fact, the most successful people know how to do only what they do best and outsource the rest, as Peter Drucker said. And one of the challenges that people get into, particularly the clients that Jamie and I work with that maybe they're either struggling or they're new to business, is this mindset that, well, someday I'll, right? So that something miraculous will happen in the future and my life and my business will be different, and therefore I'll get the outcomes I want. But the reality is what you're doing right now is going to get you the outcomes that you're getting right now, and will continue to get you the outcomes you're getting until you make a change. So what I'm getting at is do it sooner rather than later. And let me kind of share an example of this. You're thinking, well, once I have enough money, once I make some income from a business, or then once I can afford to hire a VA, then I'll get a VA in place. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to do it myself. I'm going to do all of these little things. And you know what? Right now, they only take up 10% of my time. And the other 9% of the time I spend with the one client that I have. But guess what? As you're doing that 10%, all of a sudden it becomes 20%, and it becomes 30%, and it becomes 50%, and it becomes 70%. And what's happening is the reverse of what you want to happen. You're having less and less time to do what you're really good at and you want to do, and you're spending more and more time doing the things that you really aren't good at and you don't want to be doing. So you're actually killing your business through DIY. You're doing it in reverse. So you're reverse engineering your business to fail. So the sooner you can, I would suggest that when you are saying to yourself, I'm not ready yet, that's probably the time you need to take action. I'm not ready to have a VA yet. You need a VA. I'm not ready to pay for marketing yet. You need to be paying for your marketing. I'm not ready to have a bookkeeper yet. You need to hire a bookkeeper. And if we have models of this throughout history, where businesses that built themselves for success figured all these things out ahead of time and then moved forward with the premise that they already were successful. They were focused on the outcome they were going to get based on the structure that they were creating at that time. So I just wanted to throw those two bits in there, and thank you again, Jamie, for Jamie J, for your great presentation and just saying things in such an easy, palatable way to say, and really that's the other thing is a lot of people want things to be complex. They think that it has to hurt, that it has to be difficult, that it has to be challenging and complex in order to make it happen. And the reality is the simplest things that are going to lead you to success. And Jamie just laid out 7 of them that are so simple and straightforward that you can do it. Anybody can do it. So you got me pumped up.
Yeah. And if you think about how much your time is worth, then that's the other thing too. I mean, I ask people before I consult with them, how much time are you spending kind of recreating the wheel, even without even delegating, just for yourself, kind of figuring things out or jumping on webinars and learning this and then trying to implement it. When you can have somebody who already has been down those roads and already knows how to do those things. So, some people answer that question, how much time are you spending? 1 to 2 hours a week? Okay, that's not much, but when you add all that up, and then other people say more than 5 hours a week, I get that a lot. Yeah. And I know for my business, certainly when I started out, I was spending way more than 5 hours a week just trying to get things in place, so think about
what you said there, Jamie, too, is not what your time is worth, because many people think, well, my time's worth 0 right now.
Right.
Right. So I'm not going to pay anybody.
Right.
So, but it's what do you want your time to be worth? So if you think, well, my future outcome, right? Instead of being future, think now. I want to be worth $250 an hour. Yeah. What are you doing? Even what are you doing paying $7 an hour for something? What are you doing, going to Fiverr, for example, for a high quality job when you want something high quality? Pay for it, get it done right. So I would add that in as well, is think about the outcome that you're looking for and then act as if. Start to behave immediately as though that's the way it's going to be, or you'll never get there.
Yeah. So I've just put up in the, hopefully you can all see it, I've put up the sign up now form if you're interested in meeting with Jamie J and talking to him about how he and his team might be able to help you. We've got a little sign up form. If you click on that, you can express interest in speaking with Jamie, speaking with Mark, speaking with me. speaking with all of us, just we put that out there for you. So, Jamie has a fantastic business, one that should be emulated, I will say, since I've known Jamie, and it's been a wonderful journey knowing him to this point, and I'm excited for what the future brings. So impressed with his, organizational skills and just his knowledge, and being so generous in sharing. He's certainly a very generous soul too. So I want to say that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I don't know if you want it, but I've got a copy of the PDF that I can give to you, to where you can give this PDF to other people, and there's some elaboration on some of the 7 steps.
That would be awesome. Yes, I would like to include that with
Jamie's contact information will be there. If you can't find it anywhere, you're chomping at the bit, let us know. We will hook you up right away with Jamie J and his contact information, so that you can right away get talking to the Jamie and his group at Bottleneck, and really get your business moving. So encourage you to do that.
And also, I did promise, if you want to join us with our Upscale Success Strategies membership program, we do offer this right now as a 1 free month. Join us, check it out. We've got lots in there, even just for the 1 month. And if you like the first month, you're certainly going to like all the subsequent months. Believe me, we have filled this program up with chock full of advice, guidance, resources, checklists, all. If you are wanting to do a DIY for your business, then that's a good program for you. But also, we offer lots of valuable items in there. So join us for that. I've got the offer showing right now. And
before we're at the hour now, and as we always promise to keep to the hour as best we can. Sometimes we get enthusiastic, we run a little longer, but a quick commercial before we go as well. I know we're throwing a lot at you here. Be sure to ask us for the PDF, sign up for the program. You'll get all the handouts and everything in there. And next month, be sure to join us, because next month we're going to go into our annual planning time, where we're going to talk about, even though you can do this at any time during the year, it's a good time to start thinking about, what have I done in 2019, and how can I make 2020, my best year ever, or depending on when you watch this video, maybe years from now, up this year and learn from it and benchmark it and make next year the best year I've ever had. We're going to dive into that next month, and we're going to have some great webinars in November and October to help you really solidify, get ready. November and December. What did I say?
November and October. We're in October.
We're in October. November and December, we're going to have our year-end stuff to get you all jazzed up and give you the tools you need to make your next year the best ever. So join us next month and spread the word. Please bring a friend, and let's help each other out.
Yeah. Thank you, Jamie and Mark and everybody, for joining us. It's been great being with all of you, as always.
You bet. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
And Jamie.
Jamie squared. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.